So gardens are really important havens for wildlife, and that's becoming more and more recognised. So the more we can do to make our gardens as diverse as possible, have a big variety of plants, have lots of different types of flower that are flowering at different times through a longer season, that's a real boon for pollinators. We hear a lot about bees, but lots of other pollinators as well, things like hoverflies. The more variety they have, the better they're actually going to do. The most recent trend has been to welcome weeds into your garden, which hasn't necessarily gone down that well with some parts of the gardening fraternity. But I think, it's all just part of thinking a little bit differently, not having everything absolutely manicured within an inch of its life. Just let things go that bit softer, that bit wilder, give over a corner to your garden. I've got a nettle patch down in the corner, for example. I've got an area that I allow to grow, the grass to grow long. I've got yellow rattle in there, which is fantastic for pollinators, really good sort of wildlife haven. You can do it and it can still look fantastic. Don't get obsessed with tidiness, that's the main message. The RHS, the Royal Horticultural Society, is a great source of information on how to garden greener. They've been looking at this stuff for years. They've been doing all sorts of research on it, and you'll find lots and lots of different areas of advice on their website. It's a fantastic resource to go to. So things like what sort of growing medium to use, things like planting suggestions, how to think better about plants that might cope with drought, for example, how to improve your soil by adding organic material so that it improves its water holding quality, so it can actually cope a little bit better through droughts, and water use as well. One of the biggest things gardeners can do to reduce their environmental impact is stop using peat. It's going to be banned anyway shortly in terms of garden centres being able to sell peat-based products. Why that's important? Peat is a fantastic carbon sink. It's more effective at soaking up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than rainforests, than tropical rainforests. So we've been digging it up for years and years and years. You dig it up, it decays, it decomposes, it releases all that carbon back into the atmosphere. We just need to leave it alone, leave it in the peat bogs, it'll keep doing its job and it'll do it fantastically. The peat-free alternatives have been getting better and better. I've been using peat-free compost for years. You have to learn a little bit more about how to use it, particularly in terms of watering, but once you have, it's fantastic, no problem at all. Some people will say climate change is nothing new. The fossil record shows that the climate's been vastly different in the Earth's history in the past. It's been much hotter before, it's been much colder before. We've had ice ages, of course, and this is very true. It's a finely balanced system, the Earth's climate system, and it can be affected by all sorts of things. The point is that we know why those changes happened in the past, and it was things like slight changes in the Earth's orbit. It was things like vast volcanic eruptions that added lots of extra gases to the atmosphere. So we know the reasons for these things. And by the same token, we know the reason that the climate is warming up now. It's because we're adding lots of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. You only have to look at Venus, our close neighbour, our sister planet. Okay, it's a little bit closer to the sun, but it's got a really thick carbon dioxide atmosphere. And the temperature on the surface of Venus is hot enough to melt lead because of the effect of that CO2 trapping heat. The physics is just really simple and well understood. So it's a simple fact. We keep adding more CO2 to the atmosphere, the Earth will get warmer and warmer and warmer. And for me as a meteorologist, it's quite scary that we know exactly why this is happening. We know what we need to do to actually stop it happening and solve it, but we're not doing it, and we're not doing enough, which is why it's important that all of us do a bit individually. That'll help, but there needs to be a proper international effort as well to really solve